A very good morning to everyone. I am PSK Rao, Executive Director at Beacon Insurance Brokers, with more than 8 years standing in this organization. I shall be acting as the moderator for today's webinar. Firstly, on behalf of Beacon, I extend a warm welcome to all of you who have taken out time to be with us today. I would first like to introduce our Managing Director, Mr. S.K. Rustagi, who is also a chief panelist in today's webinar. As you can see on the slide, Mr. Rustagi is very highly qualified educationally as well as professionally. He has more than 35 years of experience in the insurance industry, having begun his career with the New India Assurance Company way back in the year 1984. In August 2001, with the opening up of the insurance sector in India to the private sector, he moved on to IFCO Tokyo General Insurance Company as the AVP, heading Strategic Business Unit. In 2005, he started his own firm, Beacon Insurance Brokers, which is a direct broking company and which was subsequently upgraded to the composite broker status in the year 2014. He is an associate of the Chartered Insurance Institute of UK, having chartered insurance broker status, and a fellow of the Insurance Institute of India. At Beacon, we have a corporate liability team who takes care of all the insurance requirements, liability insurance requirements of the organization. As you can see, Beacon has a very competent and exclusively dedicated liability team, which specializes not only in the managing and servicing of the liability risks of the industries, but also possesses the expertise in identifying the risk exposures, drafting of policy wordings as per clients' requirements, processing of liability claims, and managing the legalities of the insurance proceedings. The team members are well qualified and experienced to handle this class of insurance. They both individually and collectively have a wide experience in handling, inter alia, the following liability products and the claims therein: product liability, product recall, premises liability, commercial general liability, directors and officers liability, patent and infringement, commercial crime, cyber protection, and professional indemnity policies. We have a liability team, as you can see, which are very well qualified, as you can see from this: Ajit Singh, Ayushi Gupta, Vishal Tinani, and Vikesh. Ajit Singh, the manager, is also the leader of the liability team at the corporate office. And incidentally, he is also a panelist in our today's webinar. Before we commence the technical session, I would like to spell out the modus operandi of our webinar today. The technical session will be conducted in the question and answer mode. I will be asking the questions to the panelists, and they will be answering them in as much detail as is possible. This session will be followed by a poll. We shall be eliciting your feedback on a few areas which will help us to take future action accordingly. Finally, we shall have a question and answer session. The questions from the participants shall be directed to the panelists for their response. For this purpose, I would request the attendees to please post their questions in the Q&A box, which is visible on their screens. With this, I would like to commence the technical session with my first question addressed to Mr. Rustagi. Mr. Rustagi, sir, we frequently hear the mention of cybercrime and commercial crime threatening and or disrupting the functioning of organizations, both in the manufacturing and non-manufacturing sections. Mr. Rustagi, can you please explain what exactly is the real exposure of organizations to these two causes? You may please illustrate your answer with a few examples of real-life losses that have taken place. Over to you, Mr. Rustagi.
8 universities were affected, and 8 universities, their students, their alumni associations. From their alumni associations, one can enter into the organization where the alumni is working. So the penetration in the train is infinite. Suppose as a hacker I enter into one system The system is connected to system is, suppose in this case it is a software company which provides software to various universities. From various universities it has gone to professors and students. From students it has gone to their organizations. So it is spreading like COVID, where no social distancing is required, nothing is there. So it is so serious and so havoc. So I've just this has come into the newspaper today in Economic Times. That's why I was just referring. So from where it comes and where it goes, it is also very difficult to know. I mean, this is the severity and impact. So we deal mainly with manufacturing companies. So our concentration will be on manufacturing companies more. Though cyber and crime both affects any business entity. So the first example is it is the biggest aluminum foundry in the world, located in US. It was automated and the control systems were attacked by an hacker, and it has freezed the entire control system, entire DCS system of the industry. And cyber extortion was asked. As understood, they have not paid cyber extortion and they try to unlock it, encrypt it by using forensic experts and all. The total claim, including production halt, was around 1.8 billion USD. They were insured for cyber insurance. Interim payment of the 40 million was made. That was the information I am having. And other claims are, including business interruption claim, is still under investigation and all those things. The second claim is related to ERP system or Oracle-based system or SAP-based system, which something or other software we use, like if these universities were using this Blackbird software. So any organization use, whether it is Tally, even online Tally is there. I mean, that is the basic software. And I can enter into through Tally, through SAP, and I can enter directly into your system as well. So my vendors has also have the conduit, can be used as a conduit. I can also be used as a conduit for spreading to my principles where I am attached to. So in this case, their operating window-based application was freezed. So no activity took place. I mean, I'm just giving a more example of this. In the US itself, one modular kitchen manufacturer, it was normal machines, and the software which they were using for purchase order, for giving from sales to manufacturing, what is to be made, what size the modular kitchen doors and windows will be there, what type of drawers will be there, drawings and everything was in that system. That system was encrypted. So neither they could order it, they could take the order, neither they could deliver the orders, nor their manufacturing equipments could work, because they do not know what size of door and windows and pallets has to be made. So, and though there was no disruption in their manufacturing activity, but the entire factory has come to grinding halt. Next slide. So Zomato, you all know, that is an online platform for food orders and all those things. 1.5 years back or 2 years back, I was also a customer of Zomato at that time. So I got a mail from Zomato that your identity was compromised, but we assure you that there is no misuse. We have managed to ensure that there is no misuse of your identity leaking and whatever. I mean, long 2 pages mail was there. So they might have negotiated some cyber extortion with the hacker, and some cryptocurrency must have been paid. But since that is not a legal conduit as far as payment is concerned, they might have not told. So lot many cyber extortions or kidnap and ransoms do not come into press light. There are far and few which comes into there. So there was different exposures to Demeto. The different exposures came to British Airways. British Airways, while scanning the boarding pass, in the barcode consists of lot of information. It has my mobile number, my name, my address, my mail ID, and maybe credit card informations from where the ticket has been purchased, and so on and so forth. So it has got full horoscope of mine. And one scanner is hacked where I am scanning my boarding pass. All the insurance, all the information is transmitted to the hacker. So as far as misuse of data, that will come in future, but immediate repercussions with GDPR, which is Global Data Program something regulations, which is of EU, European Union, which started on 1st May 2018. They have imposed a fine of euro something like 183 million. The same thing happened next. Same thing happened to Hotel Marriott, the second one. Marriott also, there was two attacks. One was this, where the plastic key, which is programmed by them and which we use as a guest for opening and closing of the room, that program was hacked. So nobody can go inside, and the room was locked. Even you cannot come outside because room is locked from outside. So that type of things happens. The another incident where their entire record and contact details were hacked. There were some Europeans also, and this Marriott hotel where the location of the breach is outside Europe, but still, since data of European guys have also gone, GDPR had acted and imposed a very sizable penalty on Marriott. MGM Hospital. So once a hospital is hacked, hospital software is hacked, then I do not have as a nurse even what is the patient disease, what type of treatment I have to give him, like whenever in the morning what type of pills, in the morning what type of injection, what type of food, and everything, because my entire system is encrypted. If it is operation theater, whether I have to operate left leg or right leg, nobody knows, because everything is based on the computer's information system. And once that is hacked, even discharge of patient, registration of patient, everything becomes to grinding halt. I mean, this is the severe impact. You become total loss. So relative importance in insurance language, we say it is 100%. Next. These were the few examples where cyber attack has happened, and either my system, my software, my automations have been hacked. Another impact which can have by even merely having my mail server hacking, and it can happen in cloud data and everything. I mean, because all thing is integrated and connected. And if I am having disaster recovery system and I am having a server, and that server is also, I am connecting with 24-hour lagging in one time, that also can be connected. So my cyber virus, ransom virus can go to my DRS software also, and it can create. I mean, there are lot many instances which has happened where my entire system, including my entire DRS system, has become haywire. Anyway, coming to the similar mail ID, by having the similar mail ID, I can suppose I create beacon.co.in instead of that beacon.com, and I mail is as if I am MD of Beacon, and I ask somebody to transfer some money, my accountant to transfer some money to the desired person, to the vendor, to whom we are regularly paying with his bank accounts and all. So those type of things where my compromise of my computers is not there, but similar mail ID has been made. The another type of fund transfer happens when mails are compromised, when there is a attack, cyber attack from outsider from the hacker to my site or to my mail site, and then he works as if he is me officially. So he filters, he can filter, he can copy, and he gets full information of my desktop and my server, mail server. He can go and enter into any mail IDs, and he can have information. So he works as if he is working as me, and he can transfer the money left and right wherever he wants. Next. There is again we have talked about manufacturing, we have talked about online, we have talked about hospitality, hotels, health, and all other things. So now it is infrastructure. So the first one is infrastructure. It was a transmission line projects where poles, electric poles are the one of the main supply. In a project, it was coming from a pole manufacturer, and invoice suppose is made for 1,000 poles, whereas physically poles were distributed directly to the subcontractors 500. And this type of siphoning was going on for a longer period. So total, this was the policy which the crime policy was through us, and the total claim is 5.6 crores. Of cumulative events of similar events where over invoicing was there and physical content delivered was much less than that. So another example is classic example, simple theft. So suppose I have a burglary policy, and in this case it was found that the tank farm which was adjoining to my boundary wall, and beyond boundary wall there was empty ground. So in the evening hours, one lorry tanker will come. My security guy, who is party to that entire system, will take a pipe and will connect to that pipe, start that motor, so that the liquid chemical from my tank farm is pumped to that lorry. So 2 times the inventory was shot. It was a weekly checking of inventory. When it has happened in 2 weeks subsequently, then there was some alarm from different persons, and he was caught. The entire gang was caught. So the losses of first instance, second instance, and third instance. So these type of things do happen. My burglary policy does not cover it, because the first 2 events, burglary policy will not cover it. Another example is my export was DDP. So I have to pay duty at the port of discharge and then ensure that consignment is transported to the final insured place, final client place. In this case, it was a long supply of conductor for 3 years. After 1.5 years, supplier did not pay me, and they told us that my insured that there is a custom duty less paid. So we are paying around 5.5 crore. That was happened in Kenya. So in INR it was around 5.5 crores. So this we are diverting your payment towards custom duty. And that client has appointed an agent who were supposed to monitor the clearance at the port of discharge, who are supposed to pay custom duty and arrange the logistics transportation to the final customer. He was sending the documents with the check number with the check scan copy, custom collector's receipt and everything, and getting the payment of his licensing fees and all those expenses. So he has made some arrangement, some fictitious documents. He has not paid the duty and could siphon the commodity to the final customers, and that type of fraud has happened, which is a fraud done by a appointed agent by me, by the insured, you can say. The another is also classic example. It was a ODC cargo export on CNF basis. Sea freight of some 88,000 USD had come, and it was paid by a Noida-based company. And then after a week, again the similar type of bill has come from shipping agencies. And at that time, when they inquired, then the first payment has gone fictitious. So, sir, these type of things are very frequent and very prevalent in the market. Everybody knows about cyber and these type of crimes, which are increasing with the automation. So, that is the necessity and severity and frequency of these type of events, which ultimately result into financial loss. Back to Rafsar.
Thank you, Mr. Rustagi.
Thank you, Mr. Respond.
In the incidents narrated, can you please elaborate what the nature of losses suffered by this organization and whether the same can be covered by insurance?
Yes, sir. Now we are not talking of insurance at all. We are talking from the exposure of my client, which can happen.
Yes.
So the first is, suppose I was just talking about in Hydra case, that DCS system is controlled by hacker of a chemical industry or any industry. So my control of temperature, pressure, reaction time, then flow of various liquids is entirely controlled by the hacker through DCS system. And if we change the parameter, there can be explosion, there can be chemical runaway reaction, there can be increase of RPM of my turbine, and it can blast. So many consequences can happen, which will result into physical damage to my assets, and then consequently production loss. Incidentally, we do have all the assets covered under our fire policy or industrial all risk policies or mega policies. But nowadays there is an exclusion of cyber exclusion, which says if this damage has taken place due to some cyber activity, then claim of such damages and plus their consequential loss, that is loss of production, is not payable under your physical property policy. So this is an exposure. We will discuss it out when the coverages part comes. The second is my loss of production, whether by physical damage and whether by non-physical damage, like in hospital we have seen, like in hotel we have seen, like in where my SAP was SAP of kitchen modular system, or whether my Hydra, and so on and so forth. So that is a loss of production, whether it is a service industry, manufacturing industry, trading industry, or infra industry, or any industry. Another is we have seen fine and penalties of GDPR, but in India also we have Information Technology Act, which also is to place in two clauses at least, 5 crore penalty per person per event. So 5 crore is not a small amount. So fine and penalty is even if the it is a force majeure thing which is beyond me. I have given enough protection, enough protocols, enough firewalls and everything. But if data is breached, I can be fined, I can be imposed fine and penalties in India itself. And if I am trading with in USA, whether I am having office or not, in USA and in Europe, like event happened in Marriott in USA, and penalties was imposed by GDPR, since there were some European contacts which were also compromised. So it has got a large repercussions. On the other side, financial losses by wrong payment, we have also seen, whether by making similar mail IDs or by compromising my mails. I mean, these is very, very common things which all of us know. Then loss of reputation. If, especially in a listed company, the share goes down immediately. And if it is, you are vendor, you are a software company like this Black Bund, who is a software provided to various education institute, their reputation will be at stake because they have not taken proper security systems. So lot of expenses are incurred for restating the reputations, like Gemeto has written to me. These type of things happens. Loss of stock, like theft of a stock, which I was just talking to you regarding from tank farm, or even the loss of a stock in that project where it is, whether it is over invoicing or whether it is theft of poles from different places. I mean, there can be certain things, and out of it there can be legal cases from the context from where the breach has happened, like universities. All these 8 universities can sue this software company Black Bund, where the conduit has been used for attacking these universities. So lot of liability can come, and once it is Europe and USA, even the defense cost you have to pay in euro and pounds, then you have it of few millions sacrifice. These type of losses do happen, sir. If these type of incidents, I mean, these are the effects of the causes which triggers either cyber compromise, or there is a fertile mind who enters into your systems by using a loopholes of SOPs and all those. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rastogi. So from these examples, we could understand that these are special type of losses attributable to cyber and commercial crime, and that these losses cannot be covered under the vanilla type of policy which you had mentioned, with examples you had explained to us. Now, but I do understand that this can be covered under some form of insurance. Like there seems to be some insurance for cyber and commercial crime. Now, please let us know whether these coverages offered are under one single insurance policy, or whether there are 2 different policies for cyber and commercial crime incidents. Can you please elaborate on this?
Yes, sir. This question is relevant since in most of the cases, cyber and commercial claims things are being interchanged even by insurance industry people. So cyber and commercial crime, they are 2 different things. Though there can be some common things, there are some common things, exposures also. So just to give whatever I have responses described in my first 2 questions, except fine and penalties and property damage to my assets, all those narrations are covered either in cyber policy or in commercial crime policy. Some of the cases are covered in both the policies. So when we have thought of that there is a commonality also, and there is a contribution is, if the 2 policies are there, then the loss can be shared by both the policies. So those type of scenario may come, and this is the requirement of each and every business entity. Then we drafted a policy by clubbing both the policies into one, where the wordings are A wording and B wording. One is cyber wording and one is commercial crime wording. But the loss limit is floating to both the policies. So suppose I take 10 crore limit for cyber and 10 crore for commercial crime. But if I take 10 crore which flows to both the policies, and chances of having both the type of claims in one single event except that common one are less relatively. So my premium outgo will be less. Insurance company will be one. If there is overlapping also, the process will be easy. So that type of device we do as a broker to have innovative solutions which can be helpful at the time of claim, and not only at the time of claim, but it also instrument to become policy premium savings also. And both the policies covers all the subsidiaries and associate companies. Both the policies are having worldwide coverage by default, like US, Canada, Australia people are concerned with. So it is worldwide coverage in both the policies. Whether you do have a office or not, if you do have a office or subsidiaries or manufacturing, that is also held covered. If you do not have, whatever export or import you have, that is also held covered. Because it is all virtual things. So you cannot afford to have confined to India or confined to a geographical limits. Both the policies covers fraud. Fraud can be committed either by employee or outsider or contract employee, like in agent in that Kenya things where DDP payment was there. So all the guys are covered, whether it is employee means not the owner, not Mr. Raju Mahalingam in Satyam, but it has to be not the major shareholder or the owner, except that anybody, whether he is employee, whether it is he is Indian, foreigner, third party, contract employee, whatever it is, or jointly. So both the policies covers as a wide covers in that. It also covers insures loss and its legal liability. So whatever I have just explained, if the contracts has been compromised, privacy infringement is there, all those legal liability or from the COVID has infected. COVID means here the hacker has gone from one entity to another entity, like COVID, from one person to another person. Then that type of legal liability is also held cover under the policy. Defense cost plus award, if any. I'm talking of civil. In criminal, it is only defense cost if it becomes successful. Otherwise, criminal intent is proved in any liability policy. And then neither the defense cost nor the award is being paid, because that is held that it is criminally intended. It is not unintended event. So cyber is the another distinction. The distinction comes here. Cyber breach, cyber policy, cyber breach is necessary. So cyber breach is a cause which is covered under cyber policy. Whatever effects of losses happens, whatever liability or my losses happens are covered, provided there is a cyber breach of my systems or anything which can be termed as cyber breach. In commercial crime, it need not to be cyber breach, because like theft of a stock, like that project things, like that DDP things, where the fraud has taken place by individuals, whether it is with employee or without employees, but no compromise of mail, no compromise of server, no compromise of data. So this is what it is, these two policies, but these are separate policies having a lot of things in common and a few things which makes them two distinct cover, but there are some overlapping. So our advice is always to club, as far as the loss limit is concerned, you make a floater arrangement so that you get premium benefit, and at the time of claim also you have a single surveyor, you are dealing with a single insurance company, and the things becomes relatively easy. That's all from my side, sir. Just to have another presentation. So the first 5 are the triggering effect of my cyber breach. Whether it is data breach, whether it is reputation, whether it is regulatory actions, whether it is my business interruption, cyber extortion. The other 5 are commercial crimes. where data breach is not necessary. It may happen like in computer fraud. It may be with data breach. It may not be with data breach. And all other things are also, it may happen with data breach, but the effects has to be like this. So this is just a illustration of how the coverage are different in cyber versus commercial crime. Sir, back to PSK sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a very elaborate discussion. Ajit, sorry to keep you waiting for so long. I now propose to activate you with my next question. I hope you're ready.
Yes, sir, I'm ready, sir.
Ajit, can you please discuss in some detail about the coverage offered by the cyber insurance policy? One more thing, incidentally, it seems to be the general feeling that the insurance premium involved for this type of policy is quite high and hence it's not very affordable. Is this really the case? Can you kindly elaborate on the same with a few examples of the premiums payable? Ajit?
Thank you for the question, sir. We regularly hear prevention is better than cure. So many organizations do feel that if we have a robust IT system, that will prevent us from cyber attack or a cyber event. But that is not the right. Whatever has to happen, that will happen. So hacker may get or will get into your system and he will hack your system. So cyber events may be a phishing attack, malware attack, or any other attack. So cyber insurance policy is designed to protect the organization from all the financial impact that organization will have after a cyber event. So these losses can be bifurcated into two categories. Firstly, first party cyber expenses. Secondly, third party cyber liabilities. So let me go through the first part. After a cyber event, the immediate requirement is a forensic expert. They will identify how extent the cyber breach has happened, what kind of system is breached, or what kind of data is compromised. Then they will also prepare how that data or a system can be restored. So these forensic experts charge huge fee, and this fees is covered under cyber insurance policy. Then the most important coverage that is available under policy is business interruption loss. Once your system is logged or your data or files are encrypted, then you may not be able to operate in a normal. So you may not have access to systems for a period of 1 month or a 2 month or a 3 month. So you will suffer some financial loss in terms of business interruption. That is covered under cyber policy. Then many times it happen कि cyber hackers, they will encrypt your system, they may encrypt your files and leave a message that you pay some amount in terms of cryptocurrency or a Bitcoin so that your system can be released. So these cyber extortion monies are covered under cyber insurance policy, and to negotiate that expense, the cyber extortion money, insurance companies do provide negotiators. They will negotiate and pay the money and get your systems free from the hacker. Then if your data is compromised into public domain of a customer, then it is your duty or an obligation to ensure that data is not misused in future. So you will require some credit monitoring agency. They will ensure and they will track and ensure that data is not misused. So credit monitoring expenses or costs are covered under cyber insurance policy. If your data is destroyed and damaged, when data is destroyed and damaged, then you may not be able to read and have a meaning out of that. So you will require some expert to restore the data, and that restoration expenses are covered under policy. Then legal expenses are also covered. These legal expenses mainly incurred when you require some legal expertise to notify to your regulatory body. If you are a listed company, then you have to notify to a security regulator also. So these expenses are covered under policy. Then coming to third party liability, once your data is compromised of your customers, then there can be, you must be storing two kinds of data. First one is personal identifiable information, that is of your individual customers, and corporate information, that is of your corporate clients. So if that data is compromised in public domain, then you may see some liability claims coming on you. So immediate requirement after a claim is notified against you, you will require some lawyer to defend you in the court of law, and the lawyer will charge huge fees. That fees is covered under cyber insurance policy. Then court may award a huge compensation or damages. That damages are also covered under cyber insurance policy. Then you may also see multimedia liability claims. Since we are using online portals and websites where we do some broadcasting or advertising about our organization. So if a hacker hacked your system and websites, he may publish some defamatory statement or infringe some third parties intellectual property, or make some adverse comment against your competitor, then you may see some multimedia liability claims as well. Those are also covered under cyber policy. Reputational liability claims are also covered. Reputational liability may be, let's say, some individual's health information is compromised in the public domain. Then he may bring a claim for claiming defamation or a reputational liability claim as well. So these are broadly major coverages that are available under cyber insurance policy. As far as premium is concerned, earlier it was considered as a luxury product, but now premiums have gone down with the spread of risk. Many customers have purchased cyber insurance policy. Still, there are many who are yet to purchase. So if any organization is purchasing a cyber insurance policy of 10 crore, then they may have to pay around 6 to 7 lakh premium. If the organization is purchasing a cyber insurance policy of 25 crore, then they may have to pay a premium around 11 to 12 lakh. If that organization is a MNC company, or it is a banking company or IT company, then there may be a higher premium because of high risk. So premium may go for a 25 crore limit, premium may go up to 18 lakh or a 19 lakh as well. So that's from my side on cyber insurance.
Yeah, thank you, Ajit, for highlighting the key aspects wrapped up nicely in a nutshell of the cyber insurance policy, and also the impact the premium would have on these policies. Similarly, can you also highlight the key features of the commercial crime insurance policy?
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Commercial crime insurance policy is a sophisticated policy. Earlier, we had a fidelity policy that was applicable, or that was for traditional frauds only. So that policy has no relevance in this modern world of technology. That fidelity insurance provided coverage restricted to employee fraud, theft, embezzlement of fund, whereas this commercial crime policy, sophisticated policy, this provide wider coverage. This provide coverage to any fraud and dishonesty committed by employee in collision with third party or a third party. These frauds can be in terms of theft, robbery, computer frauds, fund transfer frauds, social engineering frauds. So all these kinds of crimes are covered under this policy, and this policy is designed. Can you take on the next slide? This policy is available on a discovery basis. So the beauty of this policy is that all the losses that are discovered after taking a policy are covered. Let's say any incident that is happening since last 5 years, and today you take the policy and that incident get discovered after 4 or 5 days after taking the policy, and on investigation it is found cumulatively in the 5 year the loss amount is around 5 crore or 6 crore, then that complete loss amount is payable under crime policy. And as far as premiums are concerned, if you are purchasing a 10 crore crime policy, then premium will be around 5 to 6 lakhs. And if you are purchasing a crime policy of 25 crore, then premium will be around 10 to 11 lakhs. And if you are a large corporate company or a MNC company, then slightly premium may be on higher side depending on the risk exposure and precautions or systems that are in your place in your organizations. That's from my side on commercial crime policy.
Thank you, Ajit, for your clear and crisp response. So I think we could get a brief idea about what it's all about. Thank you, both the panelists, for having explained in detail the major coverages offered by these two policies and the difference between these two. Now, I would like to ask a general thing that there seems to be a general impression that these policies are meant primarily for companies in the IT, finance, and data sectors. I will now request Mr. Rustagi to please elaborate on which are the sections of industry that would benefit from opting for these two policies and why you feel so. Mr. Rustagi, please.
It is the exposures which make insurance necessary and advisable. So whether it is individuals and whether it is business entities, both are exposed to. We are seeing a lot of frauds in credit card, then that Pune Bank and all those things. So there are many entities which are exposed to, like every entity which is using internet, and everybody is using internet in their mobile, in their laptop or PC. So everybody is exposed to cyber threat. That is number one point. The second point is, if a business entity is having employee, if business entity is having assets, if business entity is having financial transaction, and all these three things are inevitable in any business. So there is always an exposure for crime, frauds, and cyber theft. So, and another thing, the advancement of probability and severity becomes more when the things are integrated, because then my entire up and down systems become crippled. Like in hospital, the entire system which is based on like Zomato for some time, so entire system was freezed, or like that Hydra. So where automation is there, whether automation of machines, whether it is automation of my system, whether it is my data company and all those things, it has a severe impact. If it is a listed company, the impact is also far-reaching. There had been a claim from shareholders to directors also, alleging that there is not enough security systems which has been practiced in the organization, and that's why all these things has happened. So there are cases under against the directors as well, which are covered in another policies and all those things. So if listed companies, the worries are more. If it is a foreign presence, then worries are even more, because their fine and penalties, here it may be in India it is 5 crore, there it may be 5 crore euro. So it will be 80 times plus multiplication of aggravation of loss and severity. So in nutshell, any business entity, be it trading, be it manufacturing, hospitality, health, IT, financial service, logistics, airline, public utility like these distribution companies like state electricity boards and all those things, banking sector, insurance sector. Insurance it has happened in insurance sector also, the fraud in co-insurance, at least I know 3 of them in India. Logistics company or infrastructure company also, we have seen that whole things which has been there, I mean, where the invoicing and under invoicing or theft was planned. So any entity severity may differ from organization to organization, but all entities are exposed to both type of exposures, and hence insurance is desirable, whether it is cyber and whether it is crime insurance. Back to you, sir. Hello. Rishabh, can you ask another question? Sir has lost connection, it seems.
No, I'm there. Just a minute. Hello.
please.
There was a momentary problem. Mr. Rastogi, I would like to address a more generic question related to this subject. I would like to put it across in two parts. Number one, you are aware that due to the current COVID-19 pandemic, the incidence of work from home has increased tremendously all over the world. This involves more and more people using their own laptops, PCs, or home computers for carrying out their official functions from home. In your opinion, whether this new trend of working from home has increased the exposure of the respective organizations to cyber attacks and threats, as well as to commercial crime? That's number one. Second part is connected, but further there is currently a lot of talk going around of the possible threat of Chinese cyber attacks on Indian entities. In case any such thing happens, it could be quite disastrous to the victims of such attacks, no doubt. What, in your opinion, is the gravity and the probable impact of these threats, and whether the same can be adequately covered under these two policies under discussion? Over to you, sir.
Sir, I will start with Chinese threat. See, what has happened is when COVID came and people get hospitalized for COVID treatment, lot of confusion was there, at least in general public, whether COVID is covered in our health policy, Mediclaim policy, or group Mediclaim policy. And also insurance industry, be it agent, be it a broker, be it insurance company, has clarified that it is held cover since it is not excluded under the policy. So any Mediclaim policy which you are having in India, or maybe overseas travel policy, does not exclude COVID treatment, and hence it is covered. The same thing, same reference I am using for whether it is a politically motivated hacking, or whether it is from a specific group, whether it is from terrorists, whether it is from any blacklisted organizations. So all, if it is a cyber attack, it is held cover under the policy. If it is a fund transfer, it is covered in crime policy. If it is otherwise cyber attack, which is covered under cyber. Coming back to work from home, which is a routine thing now since last 4 months, 120 days almost. So work from home had definitely, whatever we have written in our proposal forms of different type of protocols, different type of securities, whether it is related to my IT system, software or hardware, and whether it is related to my DRS systems, whether it is related to my protocols for payment, different type of audit, proactive audit, and all those things. Something has been diluted somewhere by using the things at home, whether it is sanction payment, whether it is some IT bypassing of certain process and certain procedures. This can happen by simply hacking the phone. I am not talking of pen drive and all, which is very used. So definitely work from home has increased the exposure globally, and there had been several cases where attacks has happened using the conduit of work from home server, laptops or PC or mobile. So definitely it has increased. Having a word of caution here, to those persons who are already having especially crime policy or cyber policy. As a broker, we have informed insurance companies, though it is obvious, but insurance company works on the things in writing, any organization, that there is some dilution because most of our insured partially or completely working from home. So we have informed insurance company that whatever minimum deviation we have our insured has taken. They have taken all prudent precautions, but business has to go on, payment has to be made. So if there is any deviation from the information given in the proposal form, should not be a factor for repudiation of liability under the policy. So these type of small steps create the differentiation between one intermediary to another intermediary to ensure that in the increased exposure of which is beyond our circumstances, work from home and other things, whatever my policy coverages becomes standard and without any prejudice. This is all I wanted to say, sir.
Thank you, sir. So I think we've covered, in the given brief time available, we've covered quite a wide area about starting from the coverages, the exclusions, and to whom these policies will be beneficial, etc., etc. So now I think with this we can conclude the panel discussion part of the technical session. My thanks to Mr. Rastogi and Anil for having explained the intricacies of a very complex subject in very simple terms within the limited time available. So friends, we shall now conduct a small poll, and I request you all to participate in the same with your responses.
PSK sir, any questions are there?
Yes. So that's it. Thank you for participating in the poll. This will definitely give us an opportunity to make improvements for future. We shall now move on to the question and answer session. We have received quite a few questions in the Q&A box, and we shall address them one by one. The first question is, in commercial crime policy as well as in cyber policy, does the insurance company access the existing controls for taking the policy? Mr. Rastogi would like to answer that.
Yes, sir. Can you repeat the question?
In the commercial crime policy as well as in the cyber policy, does the insurance company assess the existing controls for taking the policy, or rather for issuing, before issuing the policy? I think that's
Yes.
what it means.
Yes, sir. The question is very relevant. In most of the cases, no, because there is detailed proposal form which is there, and which covers in most of the cases the information which is required for a underwriting, for a underwriter to accept the risk and to quote the terms, including premium and deductibles and all those things. But sometimes they do, if it is a IT company or finance company or NBFCs, and they are seeking for a big limit, or if it is a cryptocurrency company, and if they are asking for big limits, maybe 50 crore, 50 crores, 100 crores and all those things, then insurance company, especially for cyber, they do test, sturdiness test, which few insurance company has got in-house expertise or expertise for expertise from their outsourced agencies. They do this depending on, like, if it is a SBI or bank or anything or cyber policy, they carry out all these tests. Sir, back to you.
Yes. There's a supplementary question. What are the minimum controls expected? I suppose it is, what are the minimum controls expected by the insurance company for them to issue the policy?
Yeah, it depends on the configuration of the proposer. If it is a manufacturing company and seeking a small limit, do not have purely Indian entities, then the basic proposal form will do with the macro questions. If it is an IT company, yeah, definitely the things may be asked, like when we were insuring a credit card companies, lot many questions, lot many policies, their internet policies, their SO policies, their disaster management policies, and all those things are being asked. But if it is a manufacturing company not having very elaborate universal presence, number one, or if it is a trading company, if it is a small hospital, hospitalities, infrastructure companies, then normally questions are very, very limited, and limited information is being asked. Hope I answered the question.
I think so. Next question. For an event company, if they need to take an online insurance cover for their virtual event, what are the factors they need to cover?
Very good question, sir. So it is a today's era, because I had participated from Beacon side in a virtual event which was organized by Thomas Cook for an insurance company to facilitate achievers, and Beacon was one of the achievers. Yes, these type of things are going to stay. Virtual event management by the vendors. So definitely, though I have not seen a single proposal, because this is a phenomena which has come recently, but definitely I can assure you that once the informations are given, so whatever is contractual requirement, contractual exposures, plus whatever is cyber exposures, plus whatever liability exposures comes into play. Like in a physical things, if suppose if suppose there is a cyber attack and you are not in a position to hold your virtual event, then the similar way, whatever happens in physically in earlier past, the same way the things will be indemnified, things can be paid back to you. But yes, there has to be different type of wordings. We will definitely would like to, as an interest, would like to work on these type of things, which we have not done so far, but definitely insurance can be arranged for this such things. Good questions.
Good question, but credit doesn't go to me. It goes to the. I was just reading it out. Anyway, thank you for the answer. Now the next question is, what will be the factors which we need to consider while scrutinizing the cyber and crime policies?
See, it is same thing. I mean, it is from two perspectives. I do not know which perspective it has been asked. One is insured perspective. One is insurance company perspective, and we as a broker do matchmaking only. So, from insured perspective, yes, those system has to be studied. There should be laid down policies, security policies, IT security policies. There has to be some system for financial payment and discipline. So all those things are being also seen by insurance company, as I was narrating in earlier question. So it is those factors only which are common and which varies in-depth analysis depending on the type, nature, size, and geographically spread of the company.
Thank you.
Sir, back to you.
Next question. Kindly specify what are the instances of cyber in India where cryptocurrency is paid by insurance, and in case of crime and cyber policy dispute, which laws are considered in India for execution? Do we have any laws to understand our rights, if required, during arbitration or before arbitration? It's a very lengthy question. Should I repeat?
Yes, no, I will read it. First question. There are 3-4 questions, so you can have first question and then pause. Then I will reply to that.
Okay. Kindly specify what are the instances of cyber in India where cryptocurrency is paid by insurance.
Yes, we do not have even a single which has been made public. Number one. Yes, there had been some press reports by reliable sources. Yes, there had been claims which is again for privacy infringement are being in secret, in wrap by insurance companies. To the best of my knowledge, there had been more than 10 claims in cyber extortion. I'm not talking of kidnap and ransom, which is a separate subject altogether. And when it is paid, it is normally being paid in cryptocurrency because you do not have the traces. If it is paid in any established currency, which is physical currency as well, like dollar, euro, INR or dinar or anything, then you can trace the transactions because bank will be used somewhere. Here and then you can reach to the hacker. So for hacker safety, they insist for cryptocurrency payment, where the entity and identity of the hacker is not known. There had been few cases in Bangalore, that is what I know, but that is not 100% confirmed and I cannot share with you because that is subject to confidentiality. The second question, sir, second part of the question.
Second part is, in case of crime and cyber policy disputes, which laws are considered in India for execution?
See, the policy, whether it is cyber policy or any other policy, cyber or crime or any other policy, that is subject to Indian law only. That is number one. Yes. If there is, the arbitration is also there, arbitration clause is also there in both the policies. And arbitration is also as per Arbitration Act 1938 or whatever it is, and latest amendment wherever it has happened. So that is as far the technical answer is concerned. But what is the question? Can you, sir, again read the question?
Yes. In case of crime and cyber policy disputes, which laws are considered in India for execution?
Yes, so it is Indian laws, but if suppose the suit has been done by a suppose a European entity has been exposed either through me or anything, then the policy will also trigger in Europe or USA. It is a worldwide cover. So as far as dispute between we two, that is insurance company and insured, Indian law will prevail. But the policy, both the policies are worldwide. If there is any breach or suppose privacy infringement in USA, the policy will also capture the defense cost and award thereto. Is it make clear, sir?
I think so. There's one more part to this. Do we have any laws to understand our rights, if required, during arbitration or before arbitration? Are there any particular laws?
See, arbitration in insurance industry is, the wording says, when the admission of liability is done and there is a dispute in quantum, then only arbitration act can be invoked by normally the insured within a specified time, and the insurance company is supposed to answer within 30 days. As this is all as per Arbitration Act. So, I mean, as far as any specific law is concerned, there is no law, but it is governed by Arbitration Act and it is mentioned in the policy. And the relative act, if you are talking, is in India, it is Information Technology Act, which is specific to the IT sector, to the cyber security and cyber safety. Their responsibility and duty and penalty is defined in that Information Technology Act.
Thank you. Next question is, before issue of the policy, how to confirm that the client infrastructure in production is in place?
Before
issuance of the policy, how do you confirm that the client infrastructure in production is in place?
Yes, sir. Obviously, for any contract, be it motor policy and be it fire policy and be it cyber policy or crime policy, the proposal form is the base of contract between insurance company and insured. And insurance company also, one of the pillar is utmost good faith. So whatever is declared by insured is taken 100% in good faith, and whatever precautions, whatever system, whatever securities he has declared is taken on good faith, and so is the policy. Its work.
Thank you. What are the primary requirements you insist on before issuing the policy? You means, I suppose, the insurer.
Primary requirements, as I have told you earlier, the basic start with the proposal form, and as in Beacon Broker, we also analyze and study your exposures, then help you to elaborate certain questions, certain queries if it is there, or would like to have certain notes to be elaborated in our slip to insurance company. But once it goes to insurance company, if it is a manufacturing risk or trading risk, if it is a simple risk with a small limits of, you can say, 10 crore, 20 crore, 25 crore, then it is okay. Otherwise, insurance company may ask certain more details in depth. Insurance company may also inspect it. They can do the study tests also. So it all depends on the nature of loss as well as on the limits asked.
Thank you, sir. Now, the next question. How to see sum insured limit for policy? Underinsurance clause applicable to this policy?
Very good question. The loss limit, it is $1 million question. See, loss limit, whether I should go for 10 crore, 20 crore, 50 crore, 100 crores, I do not know what type of severity it may come. But definitely there is a budgeting, there is a limitation of resources. So if it is a manufacturing company having semi-automations, you can say 500 crore to 1000 crore turnovers, having not presence in foreign countries. Normally people go for 10 crore to 25 crore. But if it is an online company like Zomato or any other company like Nykaa and all, they should have more exposure, because there is an online website exposures also, because online sale will be crippled very easily and it can be slowed down, it can be blocked entirely, so their entire production, entire sale is blocked, and it can be done universally from anywhere. So those type of companies should take maximum limits of maybe even 50 crore to 100 crore is not in big luxury for them. So we also, as a broker, we also sit with the insurance, with the insured, with our proposer, understand the business based on the instances and the claim losses which has happened world over. We share with him. The defense cost is again a big culprit. What type of defense costs are involved? What is the tail? Because these are long tail suits and claims, legal claims. So what type of expenses has been incurred? So based on that, we give all the inputs and we suggest the range of the limits. So there is no hard and fast. Coming to second part of the question, under insurance,
Yes.
since it is loss limit policy, just to give an example, if I had purchased a policy, cyber policy of 10 crore, which has happened, which is in public domain, which has happened with Axis Bank some 3 years back. 3 years back, there was a cyber claim. 3 or 4 years back, I don't remember now exactly. There was a cyber claim in Axis Bank, and they had taken at that time 25 crore policy, which was insured with New India and ICICI Lombard jointly, and their expenses was much more than 25 crore, because each branch has to be sanitized. So forensic fees and all those fees were very, very huge. So insurance company paid them 25 crore, balance is their loss. So no under insurance, up to the limit your loss is payable. If loss would have been 15 crore, 15 crore would have been paid. If it is 30 crore, 25 crore was paid to Axis Bank. The same thing. I think it explains the question answer.
Yes, I think so. Thank you very much. We have one last question of general interest. Maybe one more comment. If insurance is in place with client, is insurer ensure certain audits to ensure a practice followed effectively, or and so on? What I could understand is, if there is a policy already in place, does the insurer ensure by certain audits to ensure that the practices are followed?
Normally not.
Yes, normally no.
The answer is normally not.
Yes.
Until it is our owners, like in while answering your question, Raf sir, I was of last question of WFH. It is our duty as a insured or the broker of the insured to inform insurance company that this is the deviation or practice we have changed. We have got a change, and then insurance company can ask few questions, or insurance company can act upon it. Insurance companies suo moto normally do not act on that until less in certain cases, in some certain insured has asked for a study test to be done, especially in online. There is one insured who has asked us, and we have arranged from that insurance company quarterly or monthly some study test to be done. So that is done as a predefined thing. So just to know that they are a study and there is no moral hacking is done in those cases. So it is with those intentions only. Normally, insurance companies so moto does not come into for inspections.
Thank you. Actually, there is a supplementary question, but I think it's been answered in this itself. Anyway, I'll read it out. Is insurer ensuring a certain interval audit and submit an audit or recommendations? You just answered this, I think. It's taken care of. So no need to comment on that.
Can you repeat the question once again, sir?
One second, it's disappeared. One second, sir. Is the insurer ensuring a certain interval audit and submit an audit or recommendations?
No.
They don't do it normally as a practice. It's not
No.
done. Yes. So any retroactive date in this policies?
Yes, sir. Good question. Ajit, you would like to attempt it if you are there?
Yes, sir, I am there.
Please.
As I have already mentioned, commercial crime policy is normally issued on discovery basis. So there is no retroactive date, whereas cyber insurance policy is issued on a claims made basis, and this policy has a retroactive date. So all the events that happen after the retroactive date and reported during the insurance period are covered under cyber insurance policy. And under commercial crime, all the event happened before taking the policy, but discovered during the policy are covered under commercial crime policy. Back to Rao, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We do have a few questions more, but they are more specific, and I think they would be suitable only for the individuals concerned and not really of general interest. So I would like to assure them that we shall reply to those questions individually by emails. We have your email IDs. And also, any other participant who would like to ask further questions, though not readily now, can do so by mailing us your questions, and we shall definitely endeavor and try our best to respond to them individually to all of you. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. I thank you all once again for having participated in the webinar today. We feel encouraged by your cooperation and support. We sincerely hope that you have benefited from the same. So we look forward to seeing you again in the next webinar, which we shall be organizing in the very near future. Thank you. Thank you very much. Namaskar.